Oh, you guys are coming out already. Okay, come on down. Okay, welcome to the first Fireside Chat of the MEF 2024. It's 80 degrees outside, so we're gonna skip the actual fire, okay? We're here to talk about NaaS innovations and making businesses more agile, and I cannot think of a better group of gentlemen than these folks to have here to talk through that topic. We have Will and Senthil from AT&T's, and we also have Doug Robichaux from Cisco. So I could stand up here and do the analyst thing and give you guys a bunch of charts and tables and graphs, but we don't need to do that. You got 3 days of that. So we're gonna jump right in with these gentlemen. Let me sit down here. And get to it. You guys ready?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. We're gonna let all these folks start streaming in. It'll fill up, don't worry about it. First, we're gonna start with, I guess we'll start, what do you think? We'll start with Will? Yeah, sure. Why don't we? I didn't give a brief overview of the industry view of NaaS because we're gonna let these guys do it. So let's hear about where.
When I think about business customers, I mean, obviously there's a broad spectrum of value when you think about enterprise to mid-market to small business. But I think to simplify all that, I think it's really about just making it easy, simple for those business customers to consume, use, refresh technology. I think at the foundation of where I think the value is. And when you think about that spectrum, I think I'm on the product development side, so I think of the customer is always front and center. So I think about that full experience on how we price, contract, order, provision, support, service assurance support for the life cycle of those services, and then even disconnect. Obviously, we want to make that very complicated. No, I'm just joking.
Very complicated.
Very complicated. No, but even refresh that technology. So it's the whole LB-GUPS, thinking about that continuum. Interesting factoid, AT&T, we've been what I would say is early innovators of NaaS-like outcomes, business outcomes that kind of align with that value. Think about, Pascal was talking about the experience as it relates to cloud. How do we make that cloud-like experience and then on-demand connectivity. AT&T was one of the first to develop network on-demand functionality. So thinking about Ethernet services, those taking months to provision, being able to drastically reduce that interval down to days and in some cases even minutes. We launched a lot of those capabilities 2015 range and have seen a lot of value for business customers to be able to address that rapid provisioning, give them that self-service portal where they can control the capacity, be able to spin it up, spin it down, and then even provision new capabilities. And that's not just on the customer premise side, but also into cloud and being able to support different hyperscalers and SaaS applications. So that's been some early capabilities that we haven't really marketed as NaaS functionality, but truly is. I'd also say virtual functions. So you think about the overlay on top of the connectivity, routing, SD-WAN, security capabilities on top of that, being able to virtualize those, separate those from the underlying infrastructure, being able to do different vendor technologies on a single white box, both on the customer premise side and in the cloud. I think these also provide a lot of customer value to refresh technology, to not be locked into certain technologies long term. So once again, I think that aligns with kind of the value proposition associated with what we're building.
That's great. What about Cisco? What do you think?
Well, I think to complement that, like what we're trying to do is bring networking technology together with AT&T's world-class connectivity solutions just to create something differentiated in the market. And you spoke about it. It's like we have to make it easy to integrate with from an API standpoint, but to truly offer that network as a service, it's got to be a collaboration between the companies. And we're truly trying to make it to where Cisco plus AT&T can deliver a differentiated experience for our end customers.
That's great. So let's stay with you for a minute. What about the challenges of NaaS? We have 3 days of this, but what are you specifically seeing?
Well, Cisco from a technology standpoint, we've not only developed technologies over the years, we've acquired technologies, and really what our core principle is to make it easy to consume easy to configure, and easy to operate those systems. And by doing that from like a normalized perspective, being able to create those open APIs, extensible APIs, and integrate that from I say a deeper sense in with AT&T's connectivity, again, it allows us to help differentiate ourselves in market.
That's great. I'm going to throw it over to Senthil here, because when we talk about the challenges of NaaS, security, it comes up over and over again, and I know you have a lot to say on that subject.
Absolutely. You know, especially when you look at it from the customer's perspective. You know, like Will said, that should be our focus, right? Start with the customer, and the way the customers are connecting and where they're connecting to has changed over the last few years. Well, last decade or so, there's been this whole migration to the cloud, SaaS applications. You know, more edge computing, like the gentleman before us was talking about. So the internet is now becoming the new corporate network almost, sure. Which means our customers are being exposed to a whole new set of, a whole new threat surface, which they were not prepared to secure themselves against, right? So that's the customer challenge that we were going to go solve for. So how we at AT&T started solving that was taking security services and embedding them directly into our network. Whether it's at the edge of our network or inside our network, that was our key goal. So what this means is the network now becomes your first line of defense, right? You're not looking at prem-based services to help protect you, or you're not rerouting your traffic you know, to different security complexes. The network itself adds a security service that you can layer on with all the other existing security solutions. And to Doug's point, you know, making it simple, making it fast to deploy is the challenge in the network.
Right,
because it is a complicated network, especially when you consider the different types of connectivity that, you know, a provider like AT&T offers. So for our customers, making it as simple as possible to get access to these security services, and then making those security services effective, I think that's very key.
Wow, that resonates with me. Been here at the MEF for a long, long time, and as we transition from the private networks like MPLS, where security was not only embedded, it was expected,
right.
Into the new, we'll call them public networks, where it's kind of the Wild West out there, right? Security is, it sits at a different layer. It's been separated, and this is a struggle for a lot of IT managers. And so that does resonate with me, that the network would be the first line of defense to make that easier and for the customer base. Okay, so, and also, actually, it does line up very well with what we've heard over and over again here at the MEF, which is we don't need to trade our agility for our security. So, and I know that's a challenge going forward. So Senthil, let's stay, let's just maybe stay with you for a minute.
Sure.
As we move forward, what do you see about the future of networking as a service?
Well, I think this is just the beginning. You know, I'm excited from a security perspective, specifically, but I think this is truly the beginning. There's that convergence, that true convergence of network and security, right? We've been talking about it for several years. There's a lot of over-the-top solutions that are available today, but bringing that closer into the network, I think, is what's the most exciting part for me. Right? The network was always seen as this monolithic beast that didn't really change and stifled innovation, and NaaS is completely changing that, where now the network is the point of innovation, and that's where more services, more differentiation, and more value can be added. Now you layer on you know, AI and machine learning, the network sees all, right? So you take all that data and you add AI into it. I think the possibilities are simply endless.
Yeah, that's great. And he mentioned AI and machine learning. I know you had a couple of comments on that.
It's amazing because we just completed our acquisition of Splunk, which is a huge impact to Cisco's business. We're actually integrating AI and ML from a security standpoint into everything that we do, because we've got a basic philosophy that if it's connected, it's protected, period. And so when we look at how AI impacts that, it impacts it in what we call the classic domain controller piece, so AI into those individual components. It's creating systems that support AI infrastructure. Again, we'll be leveraging some of our acquisitions and some of the other things. And then as you expand that out into AI infrastructure and fabrics and whatnot, it's going to change the way that people consume networks, and having that philosophy that, you know, it should be a forefront in everybody's mind to really address the AI use cases, the security use cases, and really having those integrated into a seamless or common way to instantiate security policy across the technologies and into the network is really huge. And that's where I absolutely love this collaboration between Cisco and AT&T to bring new technologies to customers. So.
That's great. Any comments on that?
Yeah, I think I mean, back to when you think about kind of the core connectivity layer of this and on-demand connectivity, fiber is always going to have certain limitations. I mean, obviously it's very expensive to build fiber, 2 buildings. So I think with fixed wireless and that ability kind of coming into the fold, and how do you drive more converged solution that beefs up the reliability, adds security as part of the fabric of that connectivity. So I think there's a lot of great opportunity. Obviously, this is a space that we're leaning into to leverage both those kind of connectivity services. And I think you know, the wireless component obviously allows for faster provisioning because it could be built into the device, the Cisco technology automatically in. It's active out of the box. So you've got on-demand connectivity. You're not waiting for fiber service to be built there. And then obviously fiber kind of complements that from a resiliency side of it. So I think there's a lot of excitement there. How do we collectively innovate and drive those in a more automated, converged manner?
I mean, that's interesting. You hear about the different payloads throughout the last day or so and how the orchestration and the security can be acted, and the APIs certainly can be acted on that. Any other comments on the different payloads or APIs that we've heard about earlier today?
No, I think
anybody else? You want?
Yeah.
I think the importance is it's normalization or using common models to be able to make sure that you can go and instantiate that, because it makes everything more efficient, right? And it's easy. It should be easier to consume and operate
and quicker, right?
Exactly.
You can't wait for things. Especially when you talk about security, implementation is always a long time frame, right? Now, why wait? Why should a customer not be secure or not have their services up until these security services come up? So for us, using these APIs, using that simplified or unified ability to instantiate the device, the network, and the NaaS services in one flow, so that the customer is up and running from the get-go. I think that's a exciting part of this.
We do have a couple of more minutes here. We didn't walk through any of these questions, but we are at the MEF. So what do you see the MEF doing? We'll stick with this topic, NaaS innovations, making businesses more agile. What do you see tactically and specifically that they're doing right now that's helping your customer base become more agile?
I think the standardization part, I think, is very key. Customers constantly build these one-off custom solutions that didn't scale. I think now with MEF driving a lot of this standardized innovation, I think that helps both the customers and us build these solutions and operate them a lot more efficiently. I think that's.
What about you, Doug? What about from Cisco?
Well, I think it's providing a consolidated voice so we can listen, right? And we have to do much more listening to our end customers of what they need to drive their business and the efficiency, and it's a great forum to do that one.
It is, right. Last word here, because we got encouraged to be just a little bit faster to get us back on time. So we're going to.
Yeah, I would say a common thread that you guys were just talking through is the innovation. We can go rogue and build stuff ourselves together.
Sure you can.
And it may solve our problems, but it's not repeatable and it's not scalable. So I think, and NaaS is a pretty broad general concept. So I think putting some structure, some standards around it, there is obviously huge value for our joint customers. I'm fortunate to work for a great technology company. A lot of us in this room are probably working for great technology companies. And I think there's phenomenal opportunity for us all. When you think about the ecosystem of companies we work with, a lot of those are not part of MEF, to bring together and be part of an organization that can align on efficiencies and standards to build against, to create better products, higher value, faster time to market capabilities. And that's what really excites me.
So, that's a good call to action too, right? Which is let's increase participation here. All right, so to keep us here on time, I I mean, after sitting through yesterday and today, the media briefing and then the morning sessions, what really strikes me, what I heard today from these gentlemen, is two takeaways. The first is the first line, the network being the first line of defense, right? I mean, NaaS out here, it's still, we're working on the definitions, we're working on what's included, and the more secure we can be from the network perspective, that's going to be invaluable for the agility of the customer base. And secondly, if it's connected, it's protected. I mean, that really strikes me as something that we can use as our, as sort of our mantra going forward. So thank you both for that, for those comments, and maybe a big hand from my panel here.